平共振, unite with heaven, resonate at the same frequency. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Qin Yu. As long as there is motion, there is vibration. As long as there is vibration, there is frequency. Where there is frequency, there is rhythm and regularity. Things that share the same frequency can resonate with each other, mutually enhancing, developing, and growing stronger. Conversely, things with different frequencies can suppress, cancel out, or even destroy each other. The softer something is, the easier it is to adjust its frequency and resonate. The harder something is, the more likely it is to become rigid, resistant, and opposed to resonance. Mountains and rocks can be easily destroyed, but water and air are difficult to break. The more adaptable a life form is to change, the greater its chances of survival. Life forms that cannot adapt to changes in their environment and rigidly adhere to their rhythms are prone to collapse and extinction. This applies to bacteria, plants, animals, and humans alike. Halley's Comet visits Earth every 76 years. This is its rhythm, its regularity, its vibrational frequency. The Earth orbits the Sun every 365 days. The Moon orbits the Earth every 29.5 days. Adult women experience menstruation. Seasons change on schedule. Day and night alternate. Waking and sleeping follow a cycle. Migratory birds move at regular intervals. Tides rise and fall predictably, and the heart beats 60 times per minute. All of these are examples of rhythm and frequency. People whose biological rhythms or frequencies are not suited to high-altitude environments may experience altitude sickness. People who live in areas with low humidity struggle when they move to drier climates. Those who travel long distances across time zones may suffer from jet lag. A Muslim suddenly living among Buddhists might feel uncomfortable, and even someone from the north of a country might find it difficult to adjust to the diet in the south. Have people noticed that everyone has a relatively stable circle of life? Although we live in a vast sea of people, we prefer to live in small circles where the culture and customs are the same or similar to our own. It's difficult to break out of this circle. Abroad, these cultural circles become especially pronounced, with Indians tending to stay together. Chinese people often associate with other Chinese. White people frequent predominantly white clubs, and black people tend to gather in predominantly black entertainment venues. Even in a university, students from the same province are more likely to bond with each other. The force behind these unconscious behaviors is frequency, biological frequency. Why do you like someone? Because their frequency matches or is similar to yours. Why do they dislike you? Because your frequency doesn't resonate with theirs. When frequencies can't resonate, there is no harmony, and without harmony, peaceful coexistence is impossible. To thrive, you must strive to resonate with your surroundings. Frequencies can be adjusted. To ensure that a large symphony orchestra plays beautiful, harmonious music, all the instruments must be tuned to the same pitch and frequency. To function effectively within a group and make a significant impact, each person must also tune their mind and thinking frequency accordingly. Biological entities that stubbornly adhere to their own frequencies, ignoring changes, either struggle through life or head towards self-elimination and destruction. What I'm trying to say is that everything is undergoing significant changes. Suppose the sun suddenly rises in the west. Suppose the sea suddenly becomes land, or land becomes sea. Suppose nations, religions, political parties, and families suddenly disappear. Suppose the sun, moon, and stars suddenly lose their light. Suppose natural disasters occur frequently. Suppose hospitals suddenly vanish, transportation and communication suddenly cease, or you suddenly lose all contact with your loved ones, friends, and familiar people. Could you handle it? I know some compatriots who refuse to eat Western food, saying it's unpalatable and that it upsets their stomachs. There was a man in his 30s who, after living abroad for 6 months, one day cried bitterly. When asked why, he said he missed home and his children. Another friend constantly wore a gloomy expression because he couldn't stand the smell of foreigners. A colleague mentioned feeling oppressed in Zimbabwe because of the abundant trees and said he preferred living in Jaiguan Pass, where the vast Gobi Desert offers a broad, open view. I've noticed that people today are extremely fragile, unable to withstand any shock or setback. Modern people can't enjoy the comfortable life our ancestors had 2,000 years ago. Without tap water, they complain. Without public transport, they curse. Without electric lights or phones, they grumble. Without air conditioning or TV, they get irritated. The more comfortable life is, the more fragile people become. The more freedom they have, the less they can tolerate criticism. If things don't go their way, they abandon themselves to despair, self-pity, and self-loathing. If someone's words are even slightly careless, unintentional from the speaker but taken to heart by the listener, they sulk, throw tantrums, demand independence, seek division, or either remain silent or fly into a rage. They judge others by their own standards. No one can help. Fragility is not the same as softness. I hope people can be soft, not fragile. Softness can adapt to various frequencies, but fragility leads only to death. The unity of heaven and humanity doesn't just mean heaven-human resonance, heaven-human oneness, or heaven-human holography. It also means adapting to the changes of heaven. We can't always expect heaven to conform to human desires. Instead, we should consider how humans can align with the will of heaven, resonating with the changes in the Tao. If it rains, crying won't help. If it snows, shouting is useless. One must adapt to the changes of heaven. The stars are awakening. Consciousness must change. The frequency of the heavens is going to change, and people should enter life genuine. All religions will unify into one uniform belief. This is the trend of the times, and we must adapt. We must change the frequency of our minds. If our frequency does not change, the fate of the dinosaurs serves as a warning. Bitter medicine is good for illness. Honest advice is good for life. I earnestly and with sincere care call out to people, the great power is coming. Hurry up. The gate to heaven is as narrow as a seam. Follow the guide to your future, and don't look around, left or right. To resonate with heaven is the true path. 人生的参照系和坐标系 The reference frame and coordinate system of life. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Qin Yu. After reading Dan Xin's Recreating Reality, a direct hit on the frame of reference, I suddenly gained some insight. Dan Xin mentioned, whatever frame of reference you establish, your life will correspond to that. The relationship between a person and the world will be shaped accordingly. This is indeed the truth. Life must have a frame of reference. The kind of reference frame one adopts will determine the kind of life one leads. When we observe human society, we find that people are grouped together, and the primary factor that determines these groupings is the frame of reference. People with the same frame of reference tend to cluster together, while those with different frames of reference find it difficult to integrate. What frames of reference exist in human society? The Bible, the Quran, Buddhist scriptures, the Tao Te Ching, science, wealth and fame, the theory of evolution, New Age concepts, Marxism, and Mao Zedong thought. These are all different frames of reference. If we classify them another way, the greatest creator, gods, Buddhas, celestial beings, humans, life, natural society, human society, time and space, non-material, and so on are all frames of reference. Christians take the Bible as their frame of reference. Muslims take the Quran, Buddhists take the Buddhist scriptures, Communist Party members take Marxism and Mao Zedong thought, merchants take wealth, politicians take power, scholars take fame, and ordinary people take daily survival as their frame of reference. The ignorant have no frame of reference. A frame of reference is crucial. Choosing the wrong one can lead to a lifetime of regret and endless harm. One misstep leads to eternal remorse. So, what is the best frame of reference? What standard should we use to establish our life's frame of reference? I believe that the best frame of reference is one that allows people to live a life of value, meaning, joy, and happiness while also giving them hope, enthusiasm, drive, and vitality, and enables them to transition from the human world to heaven. I believe life genuine is such a frame of reference. With a frame of reference, one can then enter a coordinate system. Bacteria, insects, wild beasts, birds, fish and tortoises, flowers, plants, domestic animals, the ignorant, the worldly, the mortal, sages, celestial beings, Buddhas, gods. These all represent different coordinate systems. The Life genuine members, the Chanyuan Celestials, use celestial beings as their coordinate system. The kind of reference frame you adopt will shape the life you lead. and the kind of coordinate system you choose will determine the quality of your life. Let us take Life-Echanuan as our frame of reference and celestial beings as our coordinate system, as we move toward the celestial islands continent of the Elysium world. 相生相克保持平衡 Mutual generation and restraint maintain balance. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Qin Yu. Balance brings blessings. Excess brings misfortune. The coexistence of mutual generation and restraint is the essence of peace. This is true for the universe, and it should also be true for human life. I have studied the five elements theory and was once fascinated by fortune-telling for others. I discovered that the ancient Chinese wisdom is profound and mysterious. What is often dismissed as nonsense and superstition by the secular world actually contains the crystallized wisdom of our ancestors, who deeply studied the laws of the universe and the trajectory of life's blessings and misfortunes. Due to our ignorance, we have foolishly thrown away these gems of wisdom into the trash, while modern people are intoxicated by the dazzling surface phenomena of a commercial society or merely use the wisdom of the ancients as a means to make money through fortune-telling, completely ignoring the vast and profound knowledge about the universe and life left by our predecessors. The five elements, metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, mutually generate and restrain each other. Wood generates fire, fire generates earth, earth generates metal, metal generates water, and water generates wood. The five elements also restrain each other. Metal restrains wood, wood restrains earth, earth restrains water, water restrains fire, and fire restrains metal. Only through mutual generation and restraint can all things develop harmoniously and be peaceful forever. Any extreme development not only harms the rest, but inevitably leads to its own demise. This principle applies to nature, and human society should be the same. The reason why the United States, a country with only a few hundred years of history and a mixture of races and cultures, can become a world superpower is mainly because it conforms to the principle of mutual generation and restraint. Their administration, legislation, judiciary, religion, and civil organizations are like metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, mutually generating and restraining each other, enabling harmonious and vigorous development and making them invincible. On the other hand, China, with its 5,000-year cultural history, has experienced continuous wars, movements, and widespread discontent and anxiety throughout its history. The root cause lies in the violation of the principle of mutual generation and restraint. National affairs are not the concern of us Life-Echanuan. What we care about is how each individual can live a happy and fulfilling life. From the 8 characters fortune-telling, I have glimpsed some mysteries. The so-called 8 characters fortune-telling involves converting a person's birth year, month, day, and hour into the heavenly stems and earthly branches, then converting these into the 5 elements, and finally using the principles of mutual generation and restraint of the 5 elements to calculate a person's future lifespan, fortunes, merits and demerits, success and failures. This method of fortune-telling is highly scientific and reasonable and is a profound subject. I studied it for 2 years and found that its mysteries are beyond the understanding of anyone who is not highly learned and wise. Mechanically fortune-telling is undesirable, but what is desirable is to provide timely guidance based on each person's 5 elements. This guidance is essentially about changing a person's life trajectory, but changing a person's life trajectory is no easy task. It involves a series of personal factors. Not only must one consider the person's 5 elements attributes and the positions of the 8 trigrams, but also the changes in the times, the changes of the moment, and the 5 elements attributes of others connected to the person. One must also consider the person's beliefs and psychological activities. If any of these factors are ignored, fortune-telling guidance may have negative consequences or even disastrous results. Therefore, I no longer dare to tell fortunes. One universal insight I've gained is worth sharing. Fate lies in balance, and a life that has lost its balance will inevitably lead to sorrow and disaster. In Revelation chapter, Article 29, The Priorities and Urgency of Life, I gave a brief explanation of what are the priorities and urgency of life from a macro perspective of life as a whole. From a micro perspective, each stage of life has its priorities and urgencies, and even each day has its priorities and urgencies. Ignoring priorities and urgencies and spending much time on what is secondary and trivial can lead to distress at any time. So maintaining balance is crucial. The reason why the five elements of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth can exist forever is mainly that they can mutually generate and restrain each other, maintaining balance. Balance is perfection, smoothness, harmony, and the law for the permanence of life. If a person's five elements attribute is mountain fire, and if their relatives have a predominantly fire attribute, and they live in the southern part of the country, this indicates that the fire element is too strong. If they encounter a fire year, fire month, fire day, or fire hour, the fire will inevitably burn fiercely. The external manifestation could be illness, disaster, or even sudden death, unexpected misfortunes such as illness or car accidents. At this time, traveling to the north to visit relatives, or being with a few people whose five elements attribute is water, especially those whose attribute is heavenly water, can alleviate the severity of the situation. Giving flowers, crops, and trees the right amount of water will make them grow well, but soaking them in water will inevitably drown them. Therefore, more is not necessarily better. Moderation is best. People generally resent those who restrain them, wishing to destroy them. A powerful and corrupt person hates party discipline, hates media interviews, and hates the freedom of speech of the common people. They see the factors that restrain them as enemies, and the inevitable result is that they will fall when they are at their peak. Aside from emotional factors, parents, spouses, children, etc., are the restraining factors on a person's path of cultivation. But it is precisely these restraining factors that prevent a person from going to extremes and from going mad. Attending school, working, and participating in social activities are also restraining factors on the path of cultivation. These restraining factors provide us with opportunities for cultivation and excellent opportunities for insight. Good fortune hides within bad, and bad fortune lurks within good. Appropriate help or harm to others is beneficial, while excessive help or harm will lead to disaster. Conclusion: when the direction is right, every step is an elevation. Metal, wood, water, fire, earth mutually generate and restrain each other. As for the myriad affairs of life, one should go with the flow but never go to extremes. Do not seek possession, but seek balance. Do not seek fame, but seek inner peace. Do not seek intensity, but seek emptiness and elegance. 破坏与创造, destruction and creation. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Qin Yu. Refusing to grow means stagnation, rigidity, and death. Without a series of deaths, life loses all its meaning. The silkworm breaks out of its egg, bathes in sunlight, gentle breezes, and dewdrops, busily feeds on mulberry leaves. It continues to grow, shedding its skin twice in a complete transformation, producing golden or silvery silk. Then it spins a cocoon, transforming itself into a pupa. After a period of cultivation and practice, it changes its life structure and finally breaks out of the cocoon, emerging as a butterfly, fluttering gracefully among flowers and trees, fully enjoying the splendor of life. The eggshell, old skin, and cocoon are forms of protection, but they are also constraints. Only by continuously creating and then destroying can a brand new life form be born, soaring freely in the vast mountains and rivers. Isn't human life just the same? Family, ethnicity, nation, religion, and political parties are like the eggshell and cocoon. Initially, they protect, but later, they become restraints and shackles. If the silkworm does not break the shell and abandon it, it will die within it. Even if it does not die, it will remain forever curled inside, unable to enjoy the joy of becoming a butterfly. Constantly dying and being reborn is the meaning of life. Continuously creating and destroying is the meaning of human existence. This is a new way of thinking, a new way of life, a sage's view of life, a saint's worldview, a divine perspective on life, and the greatest creator's view of the universe. Every day, as the bright sun breaks through the morning mist and rises in the east, the crystal-clear dewdrops on the leaf tips gradually evaporate in the morning light, and a new day begins. The earth is filled with fresh vitality. New things continuously rise. The ocean sings in the waves. The green branches sway gracefully in the breeze. Joyful birds soar freely in the blue sky. and flowers bloom proudly in the fields and mountains. Ah, how marvelous life is, with the songs of birds and swallows everywhere, brimming with vitality, streams murmuring, and green waves rippling. Yesterday has passed. Beside the dying boat, 1,000 sails pass. In front of the sick tree, 10,000 new trees spring up. We should embrace new life, face the morning glow, enjoy the fresh breeze, carry a basket, and happily pick the mushrooms of happiness that belong to us. This is an active life, a diligent life, a life full of vitality, and also a life of joy and happiness. We keep on trekking, keep moving forward, heading toward the light, toward the future, toward a new life, toward the boundless space and time of life, advance together, singing and dancing joyfully. Clinging to the past is the worldview of the passive and lazy. Restricting the pursuit of freedom and happiness is the devil's worldview. Obstructing others' joy and happiness is the narrow and selfish mindset of the petty, and attacking and destroying others' joy and happiness is the perverted moral view of the malformed. Every man is a unique new landscape, and every woman should at least get to know 10 men in her lifetime. Every woman is a fresh and beautiful scenery, and every man should love at least 10 women in his lifetime. Keep the good ones, discard the bad ones in time, and then seek new scenery. The pursuit of freedom and happiness in love is a legitimate right granted by the greatest creator. Why not love? Why not pursue? Why live such a burdened life? In the end, isn't it just a trip to the crematorium? Don't cry and say, I haven't lived enough, or blame the heavens and earth, saying, I've lived too miserably. No. Say, I lived a free and fulfilling life, with no regrets. I lived according to the emotions the greatest creator gave me, with flavor, with affection and righteousness. Everyone should enter some religion or political group for baptism and experience, but don't get so deeply involved that you can't get out. Religion and political groups are like protective shells and cocoons. Only those who can enter and exit freely can transcend. If you can enter but can't exit, you will die in them, losing the qualification and opportunity to appreciate the wonders of the world. This is why Life Genuine insists on being friends without forming factions. Everyone belongs to a certain ethnicity and country, but ethnicity and country are also protective shells and cocoons. If we regard these shells and cocoons as our eternal protectors, then we live too narrowly, too boringly, too selfishly, and too conservatively. If our hearts are broad enough, we will appreciate all the ethnicities and countries in the world, befriending brothers and sisters of all ethnicities, and being friendly neighbors with sages and common folk from all countries. Blind arrogance in nationalism and statism is an obstacle and enemy to human happiness. Those who put the interests of their ethnicity and country above all are narrow-minded frogs in a well, pitiful creatures. A person with a healthy mind will not limit their life vision to a narrow valley but will look beyond hills and mountains, toward the future, toward the whole world, to appreciate countless sceneries and styles. Therefore, we must constantly destroy fixed ways of thinking, destroy traditions that shackle human nature, destroy the old shells and cocoons that once protected us, destroy decayed morals that hinder the pursuit of freedom, and destroy all shackles that prevent us from enjoying life's joy and happiness. So, we must constantly create new ways of thinking, create new lifestyles, establish new views of life, the world, life, the universe, and morality, and open up the era of Life Genuine that humanity has long dreamed of. The me of yesterday has already died. I no longer cling to what is past. The me of today is a new me. I am willing to create and enjoy the present life to the fullest. The me of today will also die, and I will embrace tomorrow without hesitation, full of hope to welcome the arrival of a new day. Constantly dying, constantly being reborn, constantly destroying, constantly creating, changing the structure of life, sublimating the quality of life. New life will always belong to us. 两条平行线相交于一点. Two parallel lines intersect at one point. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Qin Yu. Euclidean geometry asserts that two parallel straight lines can never intersect. Einstein, considering the perspective of the universe, hypothesized that two parallel lines might intersect, but he did not provide proof, and to this day, scientists have not been able to prove it. Euclid proved the parallel line postulate from the perspective of a two-dimensional plane. Even in three-dimensional space, Euclid's parallel line postulate holds true and cannot be overturned. Assuming that the multiverse theory in quantum mechanics string theory is accurate, even in such a scenario, two parallel straight lines cannot intersect at one point. Einstein reasoned that massive objects could cause space to deform and curve. When light encounters an object with sufficient mass, gravity prevents it from traveling in a straight line, so two parallel lines might intersect at a certain point due to this curvature. Therefore, he believed that Euclidean geometry might not be a universal principle. Some scientists consider time as a dimension, and this has scientific reasoning because any object undoubtedly exists within time and evolves with the passage of time, unable to escape time's palm. However, scientists view time with conventional thinking. Although, according to the principles of general relativity, time can also deform, this deformation does not allow two parallel lines to intersect at one point because the two parallel lines would deform simultaneously and remain parallel after the deformation. According to the principles of black holes, two parallel lines may simultaneously terminate at a certain point in time, but this does not cause them to intersect at one point. The holographic theory of the universe also cannot prove that two parallel lines will intersect at one point. According to holographic theory, two parallel straight lines carry the same information and are equal. Once formed, they will continue to move forward in parallel along a fixed trajectory. However, in the unified field theory of the universe, two parallel lines will intersect at one point. So, what is the unified field theory of the universe? Scientists have been debating this, which is why the unified field theory has yet to be established. So how can I say that two parallel lines will intersect in the unified field theory of the universe? Scientists believe that there are only four fundamental forces in the universe: electromagnetic force, gravitational force, strong nuclear force, and weak nuclear force. But relying on these four forces alone cannot establish the unified field theory of the universe. According to the uncertainty principle of quantum mechanics, people realize that the motion state of fundamental particles, wave-particle duality, is related to the observer's method of observation. From this, some individuals who are not scientists but may belong to the category of scientists who are non-scientists realize that consciousness is related to the movement of matter. Thus, some have tried to incorporate the force of consciousness into the unified field theory, although this still does not constitute a complete unified field theory. I will briefly discuss the unified field theory of the universe in the chapter of Preaching Tao. For now, I will provide proof from the perspective of time and space to demonstrate that two parallel lines will intersect at one point. First, it is necessary to clarify that the traditional concept of time is incorrect. The idea that time flows uniformly is not in accordance with reality. The belief that time is unidirectional is also not entirely correct because time is a recorder of the motion state of matter. Time arises from the movement of matter, and its speed is closely related to the speed and mode of matter's movement, as well as the space in which the matter exists. Therefore, time does not flow uniformly, but is constantly in motion and change. Furthermore, because matter can annihilate instantaneously, entering another space-time, it leads to the creation of lateral time. Hence, time does not only have a vertical property from past to future, but also a lateral property. Euclidean geometry is an abstraction of reality. To make two parallel lines intersect, we restore the abstraction to a concrete image and then observe whether they can intersect. Two parallel trains are an example of parallel lines. In a two-dimensional plane and three-dimensional space, they cannot intersect. They cannot collide with each other. If they collide, it no longer falls within the scope of the parallel line postulate. However, there is a scenario where this could happen. Two parallel speeding trains are suddenly drawn into a lateral spacetime. Because the time they are drawn into differs by just 1 second, their trajectories change slightly, resulting in a collision. This is somewhat like two distant scenes intersecting due to the mirage phenomenon. Of course, this still doesn't fully explain Einstein's thinking. If Einstein were still alive, he would inevitably reach this conclusion. In the universe, there are no parallel straight lines that do not intersect or separate. Even if two parallel lines have the same mass and information, Space has planes of intersection. At these spatial intersections, they can no longer run parallel. Moreover, as long as there is distance in space, the forces acting on the two parallel lines cannot be equal, and these forces will inevitably cause the trajectories of the two parallel straight lines to change, thus separating or intersecting. Two strangers sitting on parallel seats in a moving car constitute two parallel lines. A sudden car accident occurs. One person dies, the other survives. They do not intersect. The deceased is drawn into lateral space-time. A few days or years later, the survivor suddenly has a dream in which he sees himself sitting in the seat where the deceased once sat, and the two parallel lines, intersect. Or, years later, the survivor also dies and is drawn into the same space-time. They meet again and even become a married couple, resulting in an intersection. The conclusion is, there are no parallel lines that do not intersect or separate. 获取无穷无尽能量的奥秘. The secret to acquiring infinite energy. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Qin Yu. A room filled with air can only hold so much, and if the doors and windows are sealed, the air will become stale. However, if there are windows on the north and south sides of the room, and they are opened, fresh air will continuously flow in and out. The larger the windows, the stronger the flow of energy. Can this fresh air ever be exhausted? Never. It is inexhaustible. A businessman's secret to making money lies in the rapid circulation of his capital. The faster it circulates, the more money he makes. The slower it circulates, the less he earns. If he holds onto it tightly without letting it circulate, that capital becomes dead, and not a single penny can be earned. A beloved singer earns respect and honor by continuously performing for people. The more they sing, the more honor they receive, and the more they sing, the more active their artistic selves become, leading to ever-improving skills. If they stop singing, their artistic talent diminishes, and they gradually fade from people's memories, eventually falling into obscurity. Wise people are those who continually dedicate their wisdom to others and society. The more they give, the faster they give, the more their wisdom grows, becoming increasingly perfect. The more they release, the more they gain. The more they give, not only does their wisdom not diminish, but their wealth of wisdom actually increases. The more one labors and exercises, the stronger, more energetic, and more vibrant their body becomes. The less one moves and the more they indulge, the weaker their body, the worse their spirit, and the more fatigue they feel. Therefore, the secret to acquiring infinite energy lies in all-encompassing release. The material world and the non-material world operate under opposite laws. From a material perspective, the more one releases, the more energy decreases. But from a non-material perspective, the more one releases, the more energy increases. When Jesus was in the human world, he continuously released, and as a result, the energy he gained was unprecedentedly immense. The same was true for Buddha. Many people in the human world are constantly taking but are stingy in releasing. In the end, they gain nothing and have no energy. The more you give, the more you gain. If you are unwilling to release anything, the result is energy depletion. Jesus revealed this secret to us. For whoever has, more will be given to them. And whoever does not have, even what they have will be taken from them. The more you give, the greater the reward. The less you give, the more you will lose even what little you have. The greatest creator's energy is infinite and inexhaustible. When our soul connects with the greatest creator's spirit, we are actually connected to an ocean of energy, and we possess endless energy. Half an acre of square pond looks like a mirror. The light of the sky and the shadow of the clouds linger together. Ask the canal how it stays so clear, because there is a source of living water. By accepting the endless stream of living water from the source and letting it flow out, the small pond will forever remain pure and fresh, eternally reflecting the light of the sky and the shadows of the clouds. We are in the way of the greatest creator, and every day we absorb the revelations of the greatest creator's Tao. Our wisdom is constantly growing, and the fresh living water flows continuously in Life Genuine. At the same time, we are building Life Genuine by releasing our wisdom. The more wisdom we release, the more wisdom we will gain, exponentially increasing. The wise have said, a hospitable person will never be poor, a thief will never be rich. The more guests you entertain, the wider your sources of wealth will be. The more you sneak and steal, the narrower your path to wealth will be, and you will never become truly rich. Every day, the Chanyuan Celestials offer the gems they find to Life Genuine to entertain the Chanyuan guests. Have we become poor? Has our wisdom diminished? No, not only has it not diminished, but our spirit and soul have become increasingly abundant, and our path has broadened. If I may speak from experience, I release myself daily by writing articles. Have I become poor? No, I have become richer. First, the Oceans of Wisdom in Preaching Tao chapter, the Non-Material World chapter, the Attainment of Buddhahood chapter, Celestial Cultivation chapter, Wisdom chapter, and other texts are endless. Advanced self-improvement, advanced cultivation, the mysteries of life, advanced health preservation, and other yet-to-be-published wisdom reside within me. I am probably one of the richest people in the world. Additionally, the number of Chanyuan Celestials is growing, and they are all my brothers, sisters, family, and loved ones. If one day there are 10,000 Chanyuan Celestials spread across the globe, my living space will span the entire earth, and I will have homes everywhere. Do you think I am wealthy? Following this reasoning, every Chanyuan Celestial has this blessing and is expanding their territory of free living. Just working towards this realistic ideal is worth it. The more you give, the richer you become, not to mention the Life Genuine era and the journey to the Celestial Islands continent. Many people are unwilling to give, selfish, stingy, and unwilling to release even a little energy for the construction of Life Genuine. Have they become rich? I think they are as poor as can be, pitifully desolate, and their final outcome is likely to lose even what they have. Some may secretly rejoice, thinking they can continuously absorb the wisdom of others without giving, profiting from nothing, and making a fortune with no capital. In reality, this is foolishness that blinds their spirit. The world doesn't work that way. When life transforms, judgment is not based on how much one has acquired, but on how much one has given. The so-called hidden dragons and crouching tigers, the so-called reclusive sages, are actually some of the most foolish idiots. If stealing could make one rich, everyone would steal. Who would still be willing to create? Those who feel proud of themselves but lament that no one understands them are, in reality, selfish and self-centered individuals. If you don't give and only calculate your own small benefits, how can you not feel lonely and isolated? Therefore, you must give, you must release. The greatest creator is constantly releasing his energy without ever desiring to possess anything. Who in this universe could be more affluent than the greatest creator? Don't let immediate benefits blind your eyes. Don't let secular values control your spirit and soul. Boldly love those who are worthy of love, and dedicate all you have to those who pursue truth, goodness, beauty, and love, to the brothers, sisters, family, and loved ones in Life Genuine. In doing so, you will receive abundant rewards in the end, karmic rewards beyond imagination. Let us continuously spread the teachings of Life Genuine, inviting the guests of Chanyuan to join in the construction of Life Genuine and the creation of the Life Genuine era. As long as we contribute a little, release a little, we will experience the joy of giving, and the merits we accumulate will be embedded in the structure of our life. That will be our ticket to ascend to heaven, the foundation of transcending the mundane and transforming our beings. It's not about recognizing quality. It's about comparing quality. Everyone can compare and feel for themselves the immense value of Life Genuine. 人生的三大追求, the three major pursuits in life. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Qin Yu. There are three major pursuits in life: knowledge, wisdom, and spirituality. These are the three steps toward becoming a celestial being or a Buddha. Knowledge is the understanding and summary of the material world by people. Wisdom is the sublimation of knowledge, a capability to discern, analyze, and judge the essence and extension of things, as well as the ability to invent and create. Spirituality is the sublimation of wisdom, an ability to communicate with the non-material world. As people interact with the material world, they gradually discover certain laws and gain true insights and experiences during productive practices. These laws, insights, and experiences form the body of knowledge. The purpose of going to school is to quickly master the knowledge accumulated by predecessors without having to experience it all firsthand. Therefore, in elementary schools, middle schools, and universities, what one learns is knowledge. Whether one attains a bachelor's, master's, or doctoral degree, what is acquired is knowledge. Knowledge is not a capability but a prerequisite and foundation for acquiring capability. A person with abundant knowledge is worthy of respect because, with rich knowledge, one transcends primitive ignorance and lays the foundation for advancing towards civilization. Therefore, the pursuit of knowledge is the primary task in life. A person without knowledge is unreasonable, hard to educate, and unlikely to achieve anything. Teachers in universities, middle schools, and elementary schools possess knowledge. Experienced workers and farmers have knowledge. They are the main mediums for passing on knowledge. Nowadays, computers and the internet are also mediums for transmitting knowledge, as are books, articles, images, videos, television, CDs, and so on. However, possessing knowledge does not mean that one has capability. Only when knowledge is elevated to wisdom does a person gain the ability to discover, analyze, distinguish, and solve problems. Scientists, experts in various fields, engineers, technicians, business managers, successful entrepreneurs, political and religious leaders, all are people with wisdom. Those with wisdom are the driving force behind societal progress and development. The reason why a group of monkeys remains monkeys is that they lack wisdom. The reason why a person, a family, a clan, a nation, or a country remains poor and backward is the lack of wisdom. A person without wisdom does not know where to exert effort, how to use their mind, or how to make effective use of time. Therefore, the pursuit of wisdom becomes the urgent task for those who have knowledge. In other words, after acquiring knowledge, how to apply it to one's production and daily life becomes a matter of deep contemplation. Otherwise, the knowledge is useless. When we buy flour, cooking oil, vegetables, and seasonings at the supermarket, it does not solve our hunger problem. To solve the hunger problem, we must process these ingredients into food, and the ability to do so is the capability to transform knowledge into wisdom. Wisdom can make life full and prosperous, but it cannot solve a person's ultimate worries. Only by elevating wisdom to the level of spirituality can a person gain the ability to distinguish between truth, goodness, beauty, and love, and falsehood, evil, ugliness, and hatred. Only then can one possess morality, clearly understand the direction and purpose of life, communicate with the non-material world, understand the meaning of heaven and hell, and lay the foundation for becoming a celestial being or a Buddha. Among humanity, Buddhist monks, priests, Taoists, imams, and masters possess spirituality. They are the inheritors of spirituality. People like Osho, Oren, Seth, Zhang Hongbao, and Li Hongzhi are pioneers of spirituality. Laozi, Muhammad, Shakyamuni, and Jesus are navigators of spirituality. The Tao of the greatest creator is the source of spirituality. Knowledge and wisdom are unrelated to morality. That is to say, people with knowledge and wisdom do not necessarily possess morality. To possess morality, one must work on spirituality. But if one lacks knowledge and wisdom, it is impossible to open the door to spirituality. Even if one understands a little, it is merely superstition, and one remains clueless, unable to know the next step to take. Concepts like celestials, Buddhas, and heaven can only be illusory longings, and one might even doubt their reality, let alone attain them. Thus, there are three major pursuits in life: the pursuit of knowledge, the pursuit of wisdom, and the pursuit of spirituality, progressing step by step. Is there a way to skip knowledge and wisdom and achieve spirituality directly? In other words, is there a path to directly awaken one's spiritual awareness and reach spirituality without schooling, social practice, life experience, inventing and creation, or participating in religious activities or listening to sermons by masters? The answer is yes. First, see if you can read the celestial book, books with words, reading the heavens, the earth, life, and society, and understanding divine revelations from the phenomena of nature, thereby directly communicating with the greatest creator. Second, See if you have the predestined affinity with celestials or Buddhas and whether you can meet them and be directly enlightened by them, allowing them to guide your life. If you can fulfill either of these two conditions, even an illiterate person can attain spirituality and thus achieve the qualities of a celestial being or a Buddha, not to mention those who possess knowledge and wisdom. A person who often contemplates the ultimate goal of life is more likely to attain enlightenment and spirituality. Those who often wander in life genuine will accelerate their steps towards spirituality. 表象与本质 Appearance and essence. 写法 Translation edited by Qin Yu. Appearance refers to the surface phenomena of an object, which belong to its material structure. Essence, on the other hand, refers to the true nature of things, belonging to the object's non-material structure. For example, the 7 orifices, hair, limbs, bones, internal organs, etc., are the appearance of a living being, while thoughts, consciousness, mind, and soul are the essence of a living being. Similarly, the mountains, rivers, animals, plants, and weather of the earth are its appearance, while the laws, deities, and other forces that cause these appearances are the essence of the earth. Appearance and essence are two aspects of a thing,